all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, good day. You're tuned in to Holler at the Success Scholar with the Honorable One, the Success Scholar himself, Haki Ammi. Thank you for tuning in on this lovely, lovely day. Actually, not too lovely, nothing too lovely about it, but had a lot of rain a little earlier, so I wasn't sure if I was going to actually make it up in here, but uh, we had to keep it going, keep it going. So actually, it did let up a little bit, and so I decided like it's not too bad. So let me make it happen here. So today I may have a guest calling on, but I just want to share a little bit and have a little conversation. If anybody's listening in, just gonna kind of open up a show until my guests come in. Phone number 240-455-5934. Again, 240-455-5934. And I'm on elifemedia.net, and of course you can get the app as well as listen to us right directly on the website. A lot of amazing things are definitely going on. I'm flat out excited. Pardon my voice. I got a little a little sore throat for whatever reason. Kind of came through there, and so. But lots going on, and I'm just really excited about the opportunity to be here and to share with everyone. A lot is going on in my mind, and I really have stepped things up over the past few weeks and even the past few days in terms of my thoughts, in terms of where I am and how do I get to the next level. It's like we're always seem to be at different areas or different spaces at particular times, and I've made a decision. I made a decision that my knowledge is valuable, and I can continue to accelerate that particular knowledge in particular areas to ensure that growth is taking place, both economically as well as with total quality of life. And so, recently I've been, some folks said I've been going hard, but there's just been some things going on that made me reawakening what I consider my already awakened state. Just really assessing myself and assessing my accomplishments, and perceived value out here in the world, or my perceived skill sets in terms of what society pay, for, what society is willing to give you in return for your talents, your time, and your treasures. For instance, Michael Jordan has been in the news for his giving. Michael Jordan, many people know. I don't know what his net worth is. Maybe it's about $300 million, or however. He's recently been in the news for giving some of his money, and sometimes I look at sports figures and baseball players, and and look at the dynamics of perceived value. And wealth is cultural. It's a culturally rooted thing. Based upon mass manipulation of masses of people. And so this is why we have sports figures and rappers and entertainers and even preachers making tens of millions of dollars, while persons who have not, practiced and mastered the art of manipulation, or their talents and skills, or what the media has deemed as valuable, individuals actually have a lesser value. And so I want everybody to actually, you know, think about that, you know, in terms of yourself and your skill sets and just how society uh, deems you as valuable or less valuable. And being a success scholar, I've always looked at this, and some things I've had to look at, you know, over and over, and see why people are have different levels of success. For instance, you know, I co-authored a book, for those who may not know, with Les Brown and Dr. George Frazier. And before I, uh, you know, talk about that and other things, uh, Les Brown will be in Baltimore. No, I'm sorry, he may be in D.C., but you know, but he certainly will be in D.C. I know Dama John and Dr. Willie Jolly will be joining him in D.C. as well, and Willie Jolly and Willie Jolly and Damon John will be in Baltimore. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be on the 25th, 24th of August, the 24th of August, as well as the 25th in D.C. So that's a Wednesday and Thursday. And you can join me, the Success Scholar, in Baltimore on August the 26th, which is a Friday evening. So we're going to have a meet and greet with some phenomenal speaker. We got a sister with Toastmasters, district manager of Toastmasters, who's going to be there, including myself. I'm going to be doing some book signings, and you know, we're going to watch part of, you know, a couple DVDs, and you know, really have a conversation. Depending on how many speakers we have, we're gonna, you know, I didn't sit up here, you know, as I asked different people, only a couple people. You know, I'm not going to keep, you know, begging any individual. It's not in my nature, particularly when I feel quite competent. I feel like I'm giving people an opportunity before, you know, before I accelerate with my talents and skills, and what I believe is going to be my prosperity and my progress. And what I'll say to that, and let me just first thank what we did this weekend. I'm sorry, Sister Kimberly Connor, for coming in town from Chicago. I'm sorry, Springfield, Illinois. We showed an amazing film. Before I do, we had individuals from the Baltimore Heat Film Project that's going to be, you know, jumping. And, you know, that's going to open up some different opportunities for me. It's going to open up a different perceived value, perceived niche, as well as my work on the Baltimore Vulcan Blazers, which is the Black Fire Union. You know, I'm still the recording secretary, and there's some things that's going to be done there that, you know, people cannot necessarily quantify, you know, in terms of the value or the, you know, what can happen with that. And so me, with my entrepreneurship mind, you know, I understood and do understand the absolute value of doing that. And so, so we had a good time, showed the film. So, and of course, you can go back a few weeks and hear the interview with Sister Kimberly Connor. She was on here a few weeks ago with me, and you know, so we had the opportunity to hang out and, you know, really talk, and things are moving forward with that, you know. So my options are open just a little bit more than I'd say the average individual, and so I am ensuring that I am maximizing on every opportunity that presents itself. And so, as I was mentioning, in terms of the book, I look at these gentlemen's history and background and what directions and what path they took. George Frazier worked in corporate. Les Brown was a politician and states delegate in Columbus, Ohio. George was in Cleveland. They took different paths, and each blew up in whatever direction they chose. So Les Brown, many more people seem to have known him, perhaps due to his marriage to Gladys Knight at that particular time, and I'm excited because with the Get Motivated conference now last year, and people can look back into this and try to explain just what what this means, because some folk may not understand. Options seem to just open up, to me, quite rapidly, and just based upon my network and my perceived leverage that I create in the marketplace. Last year, I went from D.C., then up to Philadelphia, as well as to Raleigh, North Carolina for the Get Motivated conference. Get Motivated has had some of the most prominent speakers and teachers on the planet. And so now, it's coming to Baltimore and to D.C. So here's what I'm doing. The next day on Friday, we haven't confirmed. We were still, invited some speakers, some very powerful speakers, and we're not going to put out their names. So we're not going to say who was invited, but some very prominent, powerful speakers, are invited for this coming Friday. I'm sorry, next Friday. So I am, excited about that because just this past Friday we had, the film. This Friday we have the city council members are showing up. The city council members in Baltimore coming to the Walking Blazers building. That's a free event. I just suggest sometimes we got to step out of our comfort zone and show up where key quality people are, those that may have some resources, those that have some knowledge about where to get resources, those that have access to communications, buildings, equipment. And just today I went to City Hall, actually, before I came down here. I had the opportunity to just kind of go down there for the hearing. I believe it's every Monday. I'm not sure if it's every Monday or every other, but I know that I needed to be there this time just before the city council did its thing. And so I made the right connections, and I know what it's going to do in the big picture, just like what Les Brown has done, over the past few weeks and months, and over the years, what he's done. And let me just tell you a little story of, what I know, and this is why I don't let people minimize my potential. Because I know Les Brown's background, and I know my background, and I know that people are, may be a little thinking like, well, who is this Haki Ammi? Why you got that name? Is he one of them black Muslims? Is he one of them black militants? Is he, what does he talk about? Or, he seems angry, or he always putting people down. He always saying people not doing right, So a lot of people, have put out different things over the years, but overall, I've been certainly a contributor. I'd say an asset to, definitely to the DMV, to the Baltimore All right, and and I say with all humility and respect, if you don't necessarily see me at certain places, and on key panels, or speaking at particular events, it's perhaps because those people that organized it are slipping, or they part of the problem on some levels. And so at this particular time, I'm and I know sometimes older folk, they want to hold on to the realms of power, although they haven't. It's like, what have you done lately? They want to keep pretending that they are just right on point, when in fact they haven't really done anything lately. And so I'm excited, just uh, the fact that I went down to City Hall today, and I have here actually last year I was at the Maryland Caucus Foundation. They have their legislative Black Caucus each year, and this year actually it's going to be, I believe, Greenbelt and somewhere. Is it? I know one Greenbelt and Annapolis. So keep it in a different location, so some different people can come. But last year was the bomb. I had my table, met a lot of key people, but I expected some things to take off from there, but I realized that it's gonna be I'm gonna have to really just kind of leverage and assert my resume and credentials out here on at different times. And so with that being said, many people always ask me, well, how did you end up in a book with these gentlemen? And I'm gonna keep on planting that seed, because Les Brown said last year or maybe 2 years ago that he for the first time in his life, he made in one day over $186,000 in a day. One day, one day, in a few hours, speaking. Yes, this gentleman, this gentleman right here, and this is me. That gentleman, yes, made over 800 and something $1,000 in one day. So my thing is this, and not that I am as good as that. I don't necessarily have to be, but I'd be happy to make $8,000 in one day. But you got to start somewhere, and that's what I tell everyone. You have to start somewhere. You got to put in the work. You have to keep showing up. You have to be, a serious networker. You got to show up where in the right places, and this is why last year we showed that film. I'm sorry, we showed last week Friday. We showed the film. I jetted down on Saturday to the Black Psychologist Conference. Didn't stay too long because I just wanted to see a few people. So I don't know everybody there. I don't pretend I do, but I appreciate my Black Psychologist family, and let me give a shout out to them, and a shout out to this gentleman, Dr. Amos Wilson, who wrote the book Awakening the Natural Genius of the Black Child, as well as the Psychological Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. Two awesome books, and I have copies of those. I have copies of my books, of course. And let me just read a little bit. He said, what is the purpose of education? Too many of us see education essentially as preparation for jobs, as preparation for moving up in social status, and as a means of securing a better lifestyle. And certainly there are some of its major functions. However, I do not see them as the primary functions of education. I think it's vital that we understand that the major function of education is to help secure the survival of the people. When we talk about maximizing the intelligence of the black child, we are speaking not just in terms of their ability to go through school and get better reading and writing and averages to go to the right colleges. We are concerned about enhancing their intelligence so that they can serve as a means for maintaining the actual physical survival of black people. We are now in a crossroads. We are in a pathetic situation as far as the world is concerned. We are in a situation that is exceedingly dangerous, where we are questioning whether African people survive the next century. And consequently, it's going to take a different kind of thinking style, a different system of values, a different approach to human relations to get us out of this quandary that we are in today. The quandary that the European has put us in is going to require a different kind of education than what is available today. So, with that being said, I've realized not many people will read uh, these different books, and this is why still have copies of the Dr. Francis Cress Welsing DVD that I put together in Baltimore with a few allies, and it's like 2.5, 3 hours long on black male, black female relationships, and of course you can get that from me. Let me just put up my numbers: 410-209-9687. Again, 410-209-9687. Have lots of these. Yes, get this copy of the late Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and you can see me actually all through this, kind of talking and introducing her, mostly talking to the crowds a little. So, 3 hours long, I believe it's runtime. Yeah, about 3 hours. And so Nina Simone and Mia Miata help put this together. So, in fact, I'm gonna get this to Sister Mia. But in terms of so this was in 2012. When it's still, the information is vital, it's clear, that I certainly would encourage individuals to get this copy from me. Get it from me, yes. And so, with that being said, earlier in the year, again, we, just been on a real powerful tear, if you will. Of course, we're doing these shows, and you can go and watch the different shows that I've done over the past few weeks and months. And, what's always interesting is you have people who, want to come on your show, and it's like, well, I mean, and not that you want to tell people no, of course, but, you have to use some discernment, because time is money, and, you can't just have anyone. You have to really vet individuals to make sure that they are seriously, striving to earn, uh, their position. And this is why, sometimes I think I may just have to go and screen people and be like, well, particularly, and it's all about intent, temperament, as well as, their tone of how, individuals, are making these requests, and that's how people need to learn some level of etiquette uh, to ensure that they are, demonstrate not in any, kind of begging mentality, but, with an upright level of confidence that you've done everything in your power, within your reasonable scope, to come to the table and say, yes, I've earned my spot. I've earned my my credentials. And so, with that being said, I just like to say a few of mine. Just over the past year, just this year has been really phenomenal. We started off. Actually, I think this was April. Actually, yes, in April we showed this at the Great Blacks and Wax Museum. Black Friday with Umar Johnson and Dr. Claude Anderson, David Banner, George Frazier. Yes, and I was just up in Cleveland a few weeks ago. Uh, David Banner was there, Kaba, Khomeini, Dr. George Frazier, and Tariq Nasheed. All of those brothers were there, and so it's all about positioning. Because I know some folk are not reading enough books. Don't make me break out Amos Wilson Blueprint. So, and then we moved on to Bowie. Moved on to Bowie and showed the 7 a.m. documentary. And you still, yes, you can get copies of both of these. The 7 a.m. Documentary. And that's Don Peebles. And Don Peebles he is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Has a net worth, $700 million. That's crazy. Yes, that's absolutely crazy. And, I wonder, what's interesting, and, condolences to the Berry family, and, but I wonder, did Mr. Peebles know? I'm sure he had to. Did Mr. Peebles know the son of former mayor? I'm sure he did, of former Mayor Marion Berry. And, it's just really interesting that, when you have people, all kind of good people around you, and we still will, succumb, to these negative vices that's especially militarily and, politically put in our community, for us to, and not just, I just say, yes, black people. I mean, it's supply and demand. I mean, corporate billionaires, corporate gangster drug kingpins don't care who they sell the drugs to. I mean, yes, law enforcement and intelligence agencies work to keep drugs in particular communities. I'm convinced of that. And this is what we're going to learn from the new film, the part 2, if you will, from 7 a.m. That's going to be called Gentrified. And so we definitely going to screen that in the D.C. area. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But, getting back to my point, I just wonder, like someone like Peoples, I bet if, Mayor, former Mayor Marion Barry's son would have went to Peebles and like, look, I just need some help, or, it's like this man could send you away somewhere, for you to get some help. And I just appeal to everyone listening to this. You may just find this, but, man, get clean, resist these destructive chemicals and poisons. And, I've worked as a medic, so when they said K2 mixed with PCP, whether it's official or no, autopsy has to be done. But, I just was like, yeah, I could see that. That's a bad combination. So I'll say to my young brothers, stay away from some of that stuff, man. It's not, you're not celebrating. Is set up to kill you. Don't alter your mindset with these poisons. Excessive alcohol. These smoking. Whatever, anything. Get yourself clean. That's the small, subtle suicide that these forces are out here to actually take you out. So, with that being said, and that's, so we did that, and this again, and I know I seem like I'm repeating myself, each show, but I really sincerely believe, because let me just say this, it's really interesting how I'm doing these showing these films in Baltimore and Bowie, and then we had the Power Talk, and we do have this 5 of those cassettes. Oops, done it. Uh, and who we have? Tony Brown on there, Dr. Claude Anderson, Baba Dick Gregory, Ava Muhammad, Dr. Patricia Newton, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Malifi Asante, Dr. Booker Coleman, Baba Kaba, Dr. Julius Garvey, he was just on the radio today, and Rosalind Jeffries, Professor Griff, Marcus Jackson, Donnie Brasco, and Reverend Willie Wilson. So just a strong cadre of some powerful speakers. And so that was just a few weeks ago. Let me fix this. That was just a few weeks ago. And so I still have copies of this. But, what's interesting is there's some folk that were around me, rather in the past few weeks. And they didn't show up, didn't ask me about it, just no curiosity. And no curiosity, I mean, like, now, I'm not one. Here's my thoughts. Here's my thoughts, with all respect and humility, but with a level of seriousness that information, the right information, will absolutely free you. And a lack of information will keep you poor, impoverished, and enslaved. So with that being said, there were some folks, some grown black men, professionals, and walking around looking like they made it. And I'm not, because everybody have a scope of orientation, scope of training, scope of interest. But, I've tried to build a certain bridge, but you have a level of ignorance and misplaced priorities and, poverty mentality and real, or what Amos Wilson would call a falsified consciousness, where individuals actually are not even, they don't even want to learn certain things, and sometimes these churches actually are partially responsible, and the mass media, sports, all of this, the entertainment arena. Like, I just watched something the other day. I had Sundays I watched something on Tupac, the what was it called, Tupac Unveiled or something, that break down the whole, the Phi Beta perpetrators, or, just those that, have continued to push destruction and degeneracy in our community. And many of us take a hook, line, and sinker. We eat the wrong things, we drink anything, socialize and go anywhere without a level of awareness, that there are forces out here that want to destroy us. And so, with that being said, I'll say there's a lot of good things that's going to be coming up here over the next few weeks. I'm flat out excited about that. For instance, of course, this coming Friday, as I mentioned earlier, we have our city council members. Our city council members will be at the Vulcan Blazers in Baltimore, and it's a free event. We're going to have free food for everyone, and so people can come and ask questions. So, it's good strategy to have them, that have potential, and, we always should engage in our local political processes, even if we are 12 or 13% or 12.9% of the United States population. Sometimes you have various levels of influence on your local policies and getting things done, at least. And so I would suggest you have just a little bit. You got some folk that's all they live to do is sit down City Hall. They're not going to build anything. They're not going to own anything, but they'll sit down City Hall and expect City Hall to do everything. And you should try to get something, but you have to put yourself in position, I believe, sincerely. And that's going to take some time. It's going to take some education. But, you have to go in the right direction. And, you have to keep yourself healthy long enough to be able to stay in a fight. And that's the truth. You have to be around. So after this week, and then the Get Motivated conference, I have the Be More Motivated. That's the Friday after that on the 26th. That's at the Vulcan Blazers, and then I'm chilling. I'm chilling for a few weeks because the Congressional Black Caucus is coming up. And I need to be absolutely, positively ready for that. September 17th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. And I know that I will be over there more than a few. And I know I'm speaking. I know I'm doing a signing officially. But like I did last year, actually last year I moderated a panel. But so I'm hoping this year, in negotiations to actually just sit on a panel, so that would be even better. So if I'm able to do that, that would be tight. That would be really tight, and so I'm sure that it's going to make happen. But we have an operation going where we're hoping that we can show the 7 a.m. documentary. And so, if that's probable or possible, we definitely are going to make that happen. So the emails are going with that. And then coming up in November, the Black Maryland Legislative Black Caucus, that's going to be coming up again. And, really looking forward to that. We just had Sister Wanda Watts on with us. Actually, she called in here last week, so I appreciate her. And we have a good working relationship. So I help her with things, and she looks out for me, and that's how she got me. Actually, last week I was actually at the Urban League conference where I interviewed two authors, and actually I was trying to get both of them on last week. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, this week, but everybody was busy this weekend. I mean, I was like, man, but everybody was asking about next week. I'm like, well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I might have a house full of folk up in here next week, Reggie. I might just do it like that. Just be like, all right, everybody come in. How many people we can get? 1, 2, 3, 5? Oh, we might just be like, all right, everybody come in. We'll be like rolling up in here, like get them up in here. So we'll see, how that rolls. We'll see how that rolls. I'm just probably gonna tell people I don't want to, I want to give people their time, but again, we got to fit people in, and get our voices heard. So looking forward to Sister Catherine and Brother Stewart joining us here. So, so as I was saying a little earlier, of course, I'm excited about, the big thing is going to be this Get Motivated conference again, coming up over the next couple of weeks. And, they have a very sophisticated means of reaching people. And, I'm just going to capitalize and maximize off of that. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to really, connect to some key people. And so, I can't really say what's going to happen after that, but I know for sure that whatever is going to be big, I'm going to build the necessary team uh, that comes out of that. And I just got a book just this when I was at the Urban League, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it. Strategic partnerships and alliances, I believe. Uh, the founder of the Bith Group, man, Robert Wallace. He has several books out. I remember from his entrepreneurship book. He wrote a book called Black Wealth, and then Soul Food, some about 52 principles to building successful black business, something like that. So he was actually at the Urban League conference, and I know some folk like, man, what you doing at the Urban League conference? I'm like, what it look like I'm doing? I'm interviewing some black people. What do you mean? So, and that's how you do things. And, oh, how I can forget, and the Vegan Soul Fest is actually this Saturday. Yeah, this Saturday is the Vegan Soul Fest coming up, and that's in Baltimore. I had Sister Naja and Sister Brenda on, so count me in for that. And also I'm a shootout for the Vegan Soul Fest. I got a book signing, but I'm not gonna be there that long. I mean, like, when you ask me to do something, do a book signing, it got to be right. I ain't gonna be sitting around in no little cubby hole waiting for 3 or 4 people to show up. I'm sitting around behind a little desk. I just don't do stuff like that. So I'm gonna show up for a couple of minutes, but I'm gonna let the other authors, the regular authors. I mean, I don't want to put it like that, but I mean, when you do something and invite me, uh, and I'm not getting paid for it, the least that you can do is advertise for it or promote for it. I'm flexible. I don't want to be one of these speakers and they're out here that always think that they got to get paid. They got to get top dollar. I'm open to negotiation. But because I always believe that you can create value with people. With people, everybody has some level of value if you're willing to listen to an individual how they explain their vision. Because I'd rather, honestly, for those that put together an event, I'd rather you reach the right people. You reach the right people, and we can sit together, whether it's the quality people, it could be 5 or 10 people in the room, because again, I'm not saying that you necessarily need cheap products, $25 products, $10 products. I mean, bottom line is, eventually you have to move to create long-term products, coaching services, consulting agreements where you're not just out here being a little hustle man. But I do know, and this is what I do know, and I'm not trying to take away from that, but I do know that people have created a substantial revenue stream, from little products, just selling, audio, a DVD. Like Les Brown said, he said, sell 4 $10 products to 25,000 people. That's $1 million. And I saw this one, and shout out to Sister Uri, who had a breakdown of how many products you have, or how many products you sell at different prices to how many people to reach 1 million. So, you have to always expand on that. And so over the next few weeks, of course, as I mentioned, I'm not putting out a whole lot of money. I know that the film Gentrified is definitely going to pick up and take off. I think that, just based upon what 7 a.m. Part 1 has done, I'm extremely confident that the production work that went into Gentrified will be adequate, and certainly having the opportunity this time for me to be the key sponsor / promoter in the DC marketplace, and which is, like New York and DC were the top two markets for 7 a.m. I'm simply saying that I know that I can execute with that in the DC area. So that's my kind of my September, October plan. So, you can get on board with immediately by giving me a call, 410-209-9687. And I'm looking for some volunteer social media people. Certainly, I have my business page, and I've been promoting for this Get Motivated conference since the Power Networking conference, and I got like 17,000 reach and like 700 likes over the past month, and I'm not even promoting it anymore, but it just keep on, just what I said in the pictures, people love the pictures and what I said, and it's a picture of me actually saying a few, at the mic at the Power Networking conference. And so, a lot of people, I'm sure, at the Get Motivated conference, they're definitely going to know me. And or they would certainly know me after I show up with this book. And that's what happened the last time. People have tended to pay attention. And the beautiful thing this time, I have some things to back it up this time. I have a little bit more going this time to back it up. So have a few products, a few products that I either co-sponsored or partnered with. So I'm looking for that 10,000 people, that 15,000 or 20,000 individuals that, are ready to manifest greatness in your life. So I know that, and like I said, I've been training with Les Brand and Dr. George Fraser over the years, and, even Dr. Willie Jolly, and, connected with Damon John when I went down to Florida. And so, they will all be in town for that coming up. And, it's just going to be a flat out awesome opportunity. And so, with that being said, and, what's interesting, sister asked me, "You going to something in D.C. with David Banner?" I'm like, I just saw him in Philly. In Cleveland. I'm like, not to try to, did anybody invite me? I don't. I can't just show up to some places like the Urban League. I don't need a personal invite to that anymore, or I'm not saying I need a personal invite. I know some older people may feel that they need a personal invite to some things, and they don't show up at places anymore. And maybe I'll reach that point, but I just feel like sometimes you just walk through. You kind of be supportive, show that you support different organizations, and whether we agree totally 100%, because you're not going to agree with everything about everybody, but along the line you can find ways and means. Like, I will mention this, and I don't know if I said this last week, but the woman at the Urban League conference, who was a good corporate employee, she said, I ain't no business person. I'm content. I'm comfortable where I am. I'm like, man, this is dangerous. So And that's the danger in some of these black professionals, and I just think it's part of the Greek myth education cycle that's going on. They become lazy. They become like the Romans, lazy, uh, hedonistic. You can look it up if you don't understand it. Group of people that only want to sit around and pretend like they living in a life of luxury. And let me just make it plain. I've been in some of these big houses in Prince George's County, the $1 million estates, the gated, one or two gate, one, I know one for sure, gated community some years ago. And I'm like, man, if black folks looking up to folk in Prince George's County, 'cause, and I thought that, yes, we should, and this is why I did 7 a.m. in Bowie, trying to wake some Negroes up. 7 a.m. Negro, wake up. We tried to wake some folk up, but I don't know if it actually, manifested, to that degree. Went to the Power Network conference, trying to wake some folk up. But, hey, if you're doing well, you content with your, socializing and pretending for who, I don't know, I guess to other poor, miseducated black folk. Because I know for sure that this economy in this world will eliminate you. You will be the last hired and first fired when the economy begins to uh, constrict, if you will, and the right people or the wrong people get into various positions, and begin to lock money out of particular institutions and agencies. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay on point. I'm not gonna get greedy and pretend that I've made it. Stay hungry. Bottom line, you gotta stay hungry. Like Les Brown said, you have to stay, you know, on your grind. And so I say today, of course, and I didn't mention this, you can get my 5 steps to overcoming economic and psychological enslavement. I think many of us need both of those, the psychological as well as economic. There are certain key steps that you can do to achieve that. And so, I'm just excited about what's going to happen, what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. Powerful things manifesting. And so I say tune in next week. I'm going to have a full house. I'm going to pack it up in here. I'm going to be like, Roland, I'm trying to be like you, brother Roland Grimes. We're going to pack it up in here. I'm going to tell everybody, come on in. Everybody want to come, just come on in. We're going to rotate it. We're going to have people standing on the walls up in here. So looking forward. Wait a minute. How am I going to do Monday? I guess I will. Yeah, we'll do Monday. So looking forward to next Monday. Tune in to elifemedia.net. Get the Ustream app so you can keep it right here on eLife Media. Don't forget, get my books. Give me a call. Give me a text, 410-209-9687. Till we free. Peace. Ooh. All right. Okay. Ooh, boy. Man, it is about to rain again. Man, it scared me earlier.